Hello, everybody. Jumping on here. Okay. Um, Welcome. Thank you for joining us. I'm Elizabeth Crapo, and I am a part of Survivors. And I am a survivor because I am finding ways to be able to help and serve other people after the loss of my daughter, Mara, and being able to find ways to help others grieve and to be able to do that through serving. And this is a way that I am so grateful to have this opportunity to be able to serve whoever is out there that might need our message. So tonight I am excited, especially for this speaker. This is Jenn Oldham. She is one of my dearest friends, and I know I'd probably get a little bit teary, but only because Jenn is very special to me, unique in that the week, a little over a year ago, after I lost my daughter Mara, who was 20 months old at an accident at our home, she was there for me. Jenn just came on and she let me just say all the things that I needed to say. She asked me questions that maybe most didn't want to ask because not knowing what to say, and that's okay. But she, having gone through many difficult experiences herself, she was there. She knew exactly what I needed, and it was such great therapy for me. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you, Jenn, for being there for me when I needed it. And so I'm hoping now that you and I can be there for other people. So I want to tell a little bit about you. I know Jenn through our doTERRA business, and she is an amazing mother of 4 children. She lives currently in Utah, and I have had many experiences, been many places with her, and I just love her to her core because I never have to wonder how she's feeling or what's in her heart. She tells me, and that is one of the things I value most. So I am excited to be able to hear what she has to share and teach us tonight. I'll turn the time over to you.
Oh, perfect. Well, you guys get my bedroom because any room that looks good in my house is filled with children. It's very loud. So anyway, I am excited to be on tonight and just share a little bit of my story. And I'm supposed to start with, okay, let's see. I'm just looking at this, making sure I don't forget. I am a survivor because I truly love to thrive in times where a lot of people just survive. And I know that the survivor has a double meaning, that it's surviving and also service. And I think that is so huge. But I am somebody that we all have our gifts and talents, right? Like everybody is good at different things. And I cannot think of the word right now. It starts with I'm very resilient. Oh my gosh. I'm so good at this. I can't even think of the word, but I'm a resilient person. It's just a gift that I've been given, and it's something that I'm grateful for. And I'm really big on just getting up and figuring out how to do it. And the service part of it is so huge. So I am a survivor because I'm resilient. And I think that a part of me has been resilient because I do like to hop in and serve other people, which is so huge. So, I have learned just through speaking over the years, and normally my speaking is definitely either religious related or essential oil related. But I have learned just to be me. And I've realized that my message may not serve all of you here, but it may serve somebody that you know. And the way that I grieve may not be the way that you grieve, but that's okay, because it may help you with somebody else who has a personality similar to mine, because we're all so different, right? Some people are very quiet, and that's okay. There's no right way. There's no wrong way. So I don't want anybody to feel like they need to do things that I do, or that I think my way is the best way. It's just how I've done it, what's helped me. And so I'm just going to speak to what's helped me get through, my childbearing years. First of all, I wanted to start out by saying I never thought I'd get married. It was honestly a miracle that I ever married because of abuse that I went through as a child. I did not have healthy relationships with men. So the fact that I got married was amazing. I was almost 26 years old. And it wasn't that I wasn't dateable. I dated a lot. It was that I had panic attacks if somebody ever really started liking me. I literally freaked out. So I met my husband and I just pushed through. I was like, I'm going to do this. We're going to do this because I know that this guy, there's something different. He calms my storm. He doesn't let me walk all over him, but yet he's still really patient and lets me most of the time do what I want. So I really wanted to fight for that relationship, right? And so I did, and we got married. And we obviously decided that we want kids. And I remember thinking, well, I've got to get going because I'm 26. I can't be waiting till, 5 years from now, because I was going to have 5 kids. I wanted 5 kids. So we started to try, I think probably 9 months into our marriage. And I got pregnant 3 months after trying. I think I had 3 periods. And I was like, whoa, it worked. This is so crazy. That's how it happens. Okay, here we go. And I miscarried that baby. I saw a little heartbeat, and I miscarried that night. And I was really upset. I'm not going to use the word devastated. I wasn't devastated. Like I said, we are all so different. And I will tell parts of my story that were devastating for me and things that were hard for me. I was upset, but I was okay. And I decided, okay, well, we're going to try again. I had 1 period. And I want to be clear, I didn't enjoy miscarrying and I was very sad. What it did for me is it turned into massive anxieties with pregnancy because I started to bleed when I miscarried that baby, went to the ER and they're like, oh, there's a little heartbeat. And I miscarried that night. So I got pregnant. I had 1 period. I was pregnant again. And I immediately started spotting and I was like, I'm broken. I'm never going to have a baby. I'm going to be one of those people that has 43 miscarriages. That's just going to be my story. And I did have a healthy, beautiful baby girl. I spotted off and on for 13 weeks. And I'm like, this is not cool. One of my not strengths in life is anxieties. I have insane anxieties when it comes to pregnancy. And it's interesting. I feel a lot more empathy through my miscarriages, my burying my baby, infertility than I do for my anxieties. And for me, that's been the harder thing of what I've gone through, right? So I had this beautiful baby girl. And then when she was 1.5 years old, because you have, when you first get married, you've got life planned out, you know exactly what you're going to do. And you're going to have your kids 2 years apart. You're going to be done at 34. I think I was going to be done at 34, 33 or something. I don't know. But I had it all planned out. And so we started to try and I wasn't getting pregnant. And I was like, what's going on? I get pregnant. I got pregnant twice pretty easy. Like, what's happening? And I didn't get pregnant and I didn't get pregnant and I didn't get pregnant. And I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. What is wrong? And it had been 6 whole months. So you better believe that I was seeing a doctor because I am also a very proactive person. So I went and saw a doctor and, I did an HSG where they dye up your tubes, make sure things are good. My hormones looked good. Now they don't, but they did back then. And then my husband was tested and they're like, oh, you're good. So I just continued to just try for a little bit. And then I was like, no, it's been 2 more months. I'm not pregnant. Something is clearly broken. And so I went down to a reproductive endocrinologist in Utah. So anybody that's listening to this tonight, if you are dealing with infertility or you have someone that is dealing with infertility, go see a reproductive endocrinologist because that is their specialty. OBGYNs are so great at delivering babies, but their specialty isn't helping you to get and stay pregnant, right? So I went and saw a reproductive endocrinologist and he looked at all of our results and he just said, you might need to do some IUIs, but I really don't think you need to do IVF. Everything I'm looking at, things are fine. And so we did 2 IUIs. They're $1,000 a pop. And I'm like, this better work because I wasn't making good money at this time of my life. And so did 2 IUIs and I'd already done them with my OB and they didn't work. And I told him I was ready for IVF and he was like, okay, I really would like to do a couple more IUIs. And I was like, nope, IVF, we need to do IVF. So they actually did test my husband and he said, aha, you do need to be doing IVF because his numbers are different than what they ran at your OB's office, which is not unusual. This is why I say to go see a reproductive endocrinologist. So I got pregnant with twins. We did IVF, got pregnant with twins. And of course I had my bleeding problems. I was gushing blood 12 weeks into my pregnancy. I had nothing with me except a diaper from my daughter. So I used a clean diaper and shoved it in and went to the ER and they're like, oh, everything looks great. Well, remember, I've been told that before and still miscarried, and I was okay. I did have great healthy twins that were 7 pounds each. And I had those babies. And then I got pregnant again when they were 6 months old. And I'm like, did I cheat on my husband in the middle of the night, not knowing? Because how am I pregnant? I was so confused. And I miscarried then as well. And, you know, I think for me, what was hard about miscarrying that pregnancy was thinking, I have to pay a lot of money to get pregnant. I would love to just have, even though I would have had 3 kids in 16 months. It's okay. You know, this would be, I wouldn't have to go through IVF again. And so I did miscarry. And I'm like, okay, well, I've clearly got some issues going on because I've miscarried twice now. What is going on with me? So of course, when we wanted to get pregnant, I didn't. That was the last time I naturally got pregnant. And that was in 2013. So that would have been in the winter of 2013. So 7 years later, I have never gotten pregnant on my own since then. And I've had a lot of unprotected sex. So I still have infertility problems, right? So I did IVF when my twins were almost 3, and I got pregnant with Maddox, who turned 5 yesterday. And of course, I had bleeding troubles with that pregnancy because that's just how I roll. And I was so grateful to get 4 kids here. Just given what I'd gone through, given my level of anxieties, I was so grateful to get 4 kids here. And I was like, this is so great. I got 4 babies here. But then I decided I wanted a 5th. And so we did another. I had leftover embryos from Maddox's IVF cycle. So I transferred baby Grayer. And that pregnancy was riddled with trial from the day I conceived him. Like my numbers, they measure your hormone levels. Those were low. And then they came up, and then they did an ultrasound and they couldn't see him. And I'm like, it didn't work. They're like, come back next week. Came back the next week. There was a heartbeat. Then I started to bleed. I always get subchorionic hemorrhages. And this time the bleed continued to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And he was literally just surrounded in blood. So I went and saw a specialist, a maternal fetal medicine doctor, and he said, I don't think you're going to continue this pregnancy. He's like, because your baby is literally surrounded in blood. And that was when I was like, I think I was 10 or 11 weeks. And I was like, okay. And I was prepared. I was like, I've miscarried before. I can do this. I know I can do this. But the anxiety that I went through on that pregnancy was probably one of the most difficult things that I've been through in my life. Because I do not like knowing what's like, for me, truly the anxiety leading up to the miscarriage is always harder for me than the actual miscarriage itself, because I'm so anxious what's going to happen. And then when it happens, I deal with it. Well, with Grayer, it was a little bit different because at 11 weeks, he started growing, but that bleed stayed the same size. So it looked smaller because he was growing. And then at 15 weeks, my doctor said, I think everything looks good. I mean, you've got a little centimeter of blood, but I think you're going to be good. But I was so crampy. And I was like, what is going on? I've had 4 kids. I've had twins. I've had an 11-pound baby. Why am I so crampy? What is happening? And I just hurt all the time, like just crazy crampy. And it was so worrisome for me. So at 20 weeks pregnant, I lived in Missouri at the time. I hopped on an airplane to go to Utah. And I did have a home here, but I rented it out like onto vacation renters, VRBO or Airbnb. So it was full, like there was always people staying there. So the plan was to go to a family reunion in Aspen Grove and then fly back to Utah. And we were going to be out here for a couple of weeks. It was going to be super fun. As I went to board the plane in Missouri, I was gushing blood. I was 20 weeks, like to the point it was running out my pants. And I was like the bottoms of my pants. And I was like, okay, this is not good. So I actually sent my family on an airplane, and I went to a hospital, and they're like, I think things are okay. I think you're going to be all right. He looks good. So I flew to Utah the next day, like breathing into a paper bag. So I was so anxious. And that really was the beginning of the end for me. I was hospitalized for the next 3 weeks on and off. And when I hit 23 weeks, my water broke. And, while I was in the hospital, the reason I was hospitalized is because I was bleeding so profusely so often that they wanted me to be in the hospital to monitor that. So they'd check me out, and then I would be back that night, because they're like, if this or this happens, comes back. Those things would always happen. So I'm like, okay, I'm back. So finally they decided just to keep me there. And I did not know it was going to happen. And I was so anxious. I was so anxious. Like the level of anxiety that I went through is truly one of the most difficult things I went through in my life. I'm in a hospital bed, not sure in the antepartum unit, not sure if I'm going to deliver a baby that's alive or dead or what's going to happen. And I would talk to the specialists and they're like, there's a 50% chance you could go into labor tomorrow and a 50% chance that you could go to 38 weeks. That is like torture for me. That is so hard. So I did end up losing Grayer. He was born at 23 weeks. He lived for an hour. We sent him home. But I just knew when he was born that that was what was meant to be. I am so sorry. You're going to hear my kids. They're just going to yell. It's fine. It's fine. They're my paid and prayed for children that are alive. So we're grateful. But I just knew that in that moment that is what was meant to be, because I could never get a clear answer. Like, Heavenly Father, what do you want? Like, what do you want with this baby? Like, what is your will? What's this? And I just couldn't get anything. But the moment my water broke, the doctor said, well, you can still stay pregnant. We get you an antibiotic. And I said, no. I said, like, we need to let this baby come. I knew. And then I also opted not to have them resuscitate him when he was born, because I knew immediately what his role was. I knew that he was supposed to come here, get an earthly body, and return home. And it was made very clear to me the moment that he was born. And one thing that I did that was so helpful was I journaled like crazy. I wrote his little life story, the whole, I had him for 22 hours before they took him off to a funeral home. And just writing the story of his pregnancy and whatnot was so therapeutic for me. That was really helpful. I am a very vocal, open person. You can ask me anything. Doesn't freak me out. I'll answer anything. I'm very open. That is how I deal with things. I talk about it. I'm going to be open and I'm going to share my opinion, whether or not you want it. That's kind of how I am. And I'm just going through making sure I'm following my list correctly. But the thing that I have been very big on, through all of these things is, my husband and I have been very financially blessed. And so one way that I've been able to serve other people is help them through their infertility. Infertility is so expensive. And when I did it the first time, it took every last penny that we had. We didn't have to go into debt. I also transferred those 2 little embryos and those were it. The doctor was like, this is all you've got. And I was like, okay, well, so if this doesn't work, we're going to try again. I will have to finance it because that is something I'm willing to finance. But it worked. And I was so grateful. I literally spent every dime of savings that we had. And I was, shortly thereafter, I've been very, very abundantly blessed with finances. And I have been able to help other people with their IVF. So I've been able to, pay for part of their, transfer or whatnot. Cause usually, here in Utah, the doctor I see, it's like $13,000 to $15,000. And for a lot of people, they just don't have that, but they want that baby so bad. And for me to be able to give back financially and help people is so huge. And, it's just one of those things that I know who I'm meant to help. It's, and there's some people that, I have people reach out and just say, hey, I have someone that would you consider? And it's like, and there was one time that I'm like, yes, I knew I was meant to help them. 100%. And they have a beautiful little baby boy now. But it's so fun to be able to give back and tell people, because for me, money, I have it, I can give it, and other people, they don't. And so if I can help pass that along so people can grow their families, that's been very rewarding for me. And I have a little deal with Heavenly Father. It's like, if you continue to bless me financially, I will absolutely continue to do this because I want to be able to give back. So if you're in a position to give back, do it. It's so rewarding and it feels so good. And it feels so awesome to be a part of somebody else's journey who's been through something that you've been on. So give back, even if it's $500. It doesn't need to be the whole amount. And then I've seen it fail for people. We've helped them pay for their cycles and it's failed. And to be able to say, it's okay, I will pay for your frozen transfer, is so huge. And just the bond that it creates with somebody is so worth it. So for me, that is something that has really been able to that has been really helpful. For me, just through anything that I've gone through that's difficult, getting up and functioning, just moving, getting up and doing, that's how I roll. But I'm going to talk about it the whole time, and because I'm very vocal. So for me, I get up and function. I remember when I was released from the hospital with Greer, and I felt so lost. I was like, what am I even supposed to do with my life? I've been in the hospital fighting for this little boy. I'm so sorry. There's the last living child I have yelling in his bedroom. But how am I supposed to move forward with my life? What am I supposed to do? And so I did. I just got up and functioned. And I loved having people come over and see me. That was, and not everybody's going to be that way. I loved visitors. I loved having people come over. I loved spending time. And I had so many people show up to just come and see me. And it was so great. But just getting up and functioning was huge for me. Of course, I was dealing with the hormones that drop after you have a baby, and my milk came in, and here I am burying this little baby that I had. And, it was difficult, but just getting up and functioning was huge for me. Taking action, moving forward with my life was important. And then finding ways to serve. Again, my biggest way that I have served has been helping other people financially. And then, I think anytime something happens to you, it's near and dear to you, you're passionate about it. And so, and there's lots of people, if you have a baby that passes away, through drowning or through something like what happened with Elizabeth, or it's like you find, or through cancer, you find your people. All of a sudden you feel like you're around lots of people that's happened to. And so for me, I love to give. One of the things that I really liked when I had Greer was that I had a friend that gave me, they came and took molds of his hands and feet. And so I love to give people, I love to get a copy of their molds of their hands or their feet and make them a necklace with the baby's footprint on a necklace. So I have that for Greer, and I love it. It's something that's near and dear to me. So that's something that I like to do for other people. And I think that you guys will know exactly what you need to do for somebody based on you've been in that situation before. And that was something that I loved. And so I pass that along to anyone else. One of the girls that I actually paid for part of her IVF, but then I also paid for her frozen transfer, she gave birth to twins 3 weeks after I had Greer. And even though her twins were born at 29 weeks gestation, her little boy passed away about 2 or 3 hours after birth. And it was crushing for me because I had just gone through it. But to be able to even just gift her something that was valuable, that meant a lot to me, and like the way that I could show up for service for her was absolutely huge. And one thing that I think that I have been able to help is I am very open. I've opened through what I've been through. Now, many of you have been through things that everybody is going to know because maybe you've lost a child that everybody was familiar with and now they're not there. I didn't even tell people I was pregnant that 5th time. Well, it's like my 9 millionth pregnancy with Greer, but I didn't even tell people because I was bleeding so many times and having so many issues. I didn't tell people. So they didn't know. So it was up to me to relay that message, and being vocal and talking about it was helpful for me, because I think that's kind of my therapy. And part of the reason I can get up and function and move is I talk through it the whole time. This is what's going on. But then people know that they can come to me and ask me for advice or help, or what would you say to someone else who's gone through something like this? And that's really been something that's helped me to get through, is to just open up and talk. So those are probably my 3 action items, is just getting up and functioning, serving people, and then being very open with talking and just sharing my experiences with people. After I had Greer, I did do one more IVF transfer, and I got pregnant with a little girl, and I miscarried at 5 weeks. And I think for me, the biggest punch to the gut was feeling like I didn't have control of when my family was complete and when I was going to have that last baby. And I just felt like that choice was taken away from me. And that has honestly been one of the hardest things for me, is I didn't get to choose when I was done having my kids. Some people are pregnant with their 5th, 6th, 7th baby, and this is the caboose, we're done. They get to choose. I didn't get to choose. And that was really, really hard for me. And my husband and I are no longer on the same page with how many kids we want. Because I would have tried. I would have kept going. And he was like, nope, we're done. And he is done. He is done. And I need to respect that. But it's been hard because I don't feel like I got to choose when I was done. So something that I've done that has helped me is I can sit and be resentful or pissed off or mad at or angry at other people. But if I can hop in and serve and help them throw their baby showers, I'm contemplating telling my kids to be quiet because they're being very loud right outside my room. Instead, I'm going to send my little husband a text. The kids are very loud. There we go. I will not yell at them. I will text my husband. But just showing up and serving is something that has been very helpful for me. Throwing a baby shower for somebody, or giving them a gift, or visiting them in the hospital or whatever. And it can be hard because I'm like, you got to pick, you got to choose. Sometimes they didn't, but you get to choose when you had that last baby, and you got to choose when your family was complete. So just finding little ways to serve along the way has been helpful for me, for sure. But I am grateful for the opportunity to go through what I have, because it has helped me to grow, and it has helped me to, and I do pause and reflect often and think, I am so grateful. I have 4 kids. It's a miracle. It's a miracle I ever married. It's a miracle that I do have 4 kids. I see the tender mercies of God in my life and how my kids got here. The fact that I had twins was a miracle. That was important for me because I've miscarried 3 times. Then I lost a baby that only lived for an hour, and I can't even get pregnant even through IVF anymore. And so the fact that I had twins allowed me to grow my family, faster. And I'm so grateful for it, because I ended up having such troubles with pregnancy. So grateful for it. And it's, if you'll stop and look at the miracles that our Father in heaven provides, you'll find them. And if, that's one thing I did after Greer was born, is I wrote down all the miracles that I saw. There were so many. And if you want to sit and focus on the negative, you can find lots of that. But if you'll focus on the positives that you have had during your journey, you'll find an abundance of them. And it almost gives you something to look forward to. So, one challenge that I'm going to give you is, I want everybody who's listening, to any difficulty that you're going through in your life, whether it's infertility, miscarriage, losing a child, maybe not getting married when you don't want to get married, or maybe losing a job or having financial difficulty, is sitting and writing down the miracles that you are seeing in your life, because that is something that has been so huge for me. And it has really helped me. It's helped me to just heal and to function, to move forward. And then just looking for the people to serve along the way. They're going to be there. And I find when I put myself in a grateful place through writing those miracles down, I'm more in a headspace to serve. So thank you guys so much. Elizabeth, I don't know if there's anything else you want me to add, but I appreciate you inviting me to be on. And hopefully this was helpful.
Yes, thank you. I didn't know all the details of your story, and so I've learned a lot more about you, and I just am so grateful for you, and your example of gratitude and looking. I think that was one of the things that you shared with me that week, in my devastation, was to look for the positive, and I did. I wrote down the miracles, and they came in abundance, and I'm so grateful for those things that I wrote down. And it's that perspective. You can choose what perspective that you want to go down and focus on. And for me, if I look at the science and what happened and all that's where a hell is for me. But when I decided to look at the miracles and the beauty of her life and all that she's done for us, and what she has helped us become, and who we've become, and better parents and better people and better, looking for more opportunities to serve, what a tribute to the name of our daughter. So I'm grateful for your example in that. And like you said, looking in that gratitude space, how much easier it is to then want to be able to serve. And it's not like that all the time. You definitely have to allow yourself to go through those waves, but working on that gratitude and doing the things that you talked about and finding ways to serve can absolutely provide a healing balm that I haven't been able to find elsewhere. And that's, because of wanting to be able to follow the example of our Savior, Jesus Christ. So thank you for being on tonight. I want to remind everybody that this month's service challenge is to write 5 thank you notes to anyone, just to say thank you for whatever they've done. We've been working on ours, and it surely has brought an extra special, tender place in our heart of gratitude for the people that have served us in so many ways. So thank you again, Jenn, for joining us tonight. and we will see you guys next time. Thank you.
Thank you.